Welcome to Garden Cafe. I'm Maureen, and this is my Texas Zone 8B 9A garden. Today, I'm going to be doing part one of the September garden tour. Part one is going to be the entire front side of the house, and then down along the right side. Part two will be the back side of the house, and then up on the left side. So let's get going. Starting off is pretty much the ugly. Ah, this was a gorgeous passion vine, which, by the way, is starting to come back. That ended up completely covered in caterpillars. Ate every single leaf off of this. It is just sticks at this point. But as I said, we are seeing some new growth now. The one upside of the whole thing, after losing all my gorgeous passion flowers, is the fact what we were just had butterflies everywhere here for about a week, and then they all flew off. So it is coming back. This will die back to the ground over the winter, and then it will regrow. So my sisters had this happen to her passion vine last year, and this year nothing. This year it just grew. It's beautiful. It's growing flowers, and they didn't have any of the caterpillars. So I'm kind of hoping that happens next year. This is my newest no-till garden. Vitex is growing well. It was getting eaten by something. I'm not sure what. I want to train this to be a tree, and I'll put a picture here of what those look like in my area. I cannot wait for this to grow and bloom and be absolutely gorgeous. Whirling butterflies. Look at this, folks. I mean, absolutely. These flowers are so pretty, and they just float every single time there's a breeze. This Lucifer crocosmium, I dug up some bulbs from my sister's yard in Houston and brought them here. I think they're pretty much gone. I'm going to dig one or two of them up and see if they are growing any roots yet, or I have no idea the state of those. I really don't know. But this area, I'm kind of liking it. I'm liking what I kind of envision this to end up growing up to be. Starting on the left side of the front swoop, lower level, bees everywhere, folks. What I'm growing here is definitely attracting the pollinators. This is my Mystic Spires, which absolutely love. I came through and deadheaded all of the flowers. Well, I can see another one back there that I need to get to. But this is just one that just gives so much color and so much beauty. This is I want to say it's a firecracker plant that my daughter bought me for Mother's Day, not this year, but the year before, planted up in the upper level of the front swoop, and it definitely dropped seeds down here. These are vinca that just grew back after last year. Dahlias are buried. They are completely buried, these little white dahlias. So I think I'm going to cut back some of this. A lot of this is just weeds. I mean, it's pretty. It's growing little yellow flowers, but it's not something I want here. So I need to trim this back. These are bachelor buttons, or again, I call them bachelor buttons. I have no idea, but they are also just gumming up everything. I did trim tons of this back just a few weeks ago. Clearly, I need to come in and do a lot more in this. But I like the color, the purple, the red, the white. I love the blend of colors in here. The center part of this swoop, I love this lower level, and it's actually going on to the upper level. This Profusion Zinnia, the white and the raspberry mixed. I just love this. It was just a fabulous thing to plant right here. My sister gave me these. She grew them from seed. We put in several of the little seedlings, and they just took off. This is the dead zone area. I just put in some moss rose seedlings that I grew from seed. And if you look up on the railing in those window boxes, those are moss roses, and that's the moss rose party mix. All of those colors, these are also part of the party mix seeds. So they love it up there. Hopefully they'll love it down here. Back here, the white pentas is just getting huge. Swari Kauai, the purple Swari Kauai. I absolutely love that. Always is great color in Central Texas. This was my, I don't know if I'm going to like this at all. Dahlias. My big problem though was they were growing so tall you couldn't see anything on the upper level of the front swoop. So I cut them all back to about 12 inches above the ground. And look at them, they're blooming. They're absolutely gorgeous. I just think I need to be more conscientious about making sure this keeps a low profile. Still gives me tons of flowers, but it doesn't block everything else back here. Over here's the pink and white verbena, folks. I think it's called cashmere. Absolutely love it. My sister bought me some that I grew on the upper level. I loved it so much. I did a bunch of cuttings and grew them inside the house over the winter and then put them back out throughout the yard. This, for some odd reason, is an area that this stuff absolutely loves, and I would have thought this is too brutal for it, but it worked. Vincas. Vincas always the tried and true go-to, handle brutal heat, still give you gorgeous color through the worst of Texas summers. Um, and I love it. It just works. Let me see. Let's go back here. Once again, the incredible Moss Rose Party Mix in the um, window boxes on the railing. They're the big show. Gorgeous color. Absolutely love them. In the uh, raised bed planter up on the porch, I have a bunch of angelonium, white, purple, just alternating colors up there. The front ones seem to love it. The ones that are right behind it, not so much. I think that's a plant that absolutely needs more sun. The hibiscus here, love it. It's kind of not been the happiest plant in the world. A lot of chlorosis in here, the lighter green leaves. It's clearly not getting everything it needs to. I have been fertilizing it more, watering a little bit more, trying to baby it along. But when these do bloom, the flowers are absolutely stunning. Angelonium was planted behind it before when these hibiscus really didn't look like they were going to make it, but they're blooming and they're gorgeous. Profusion zinnias, again, these came from my sister's seed planting from the spring. Seem to really enjoy summer in Texas, so they're definitely a go-to for me next year. This is the blue, I want to say it's a blue sage, suede sage. Love it. What I should have done, because the plants in here are planted literally in cement blocks, and I'll put a picture up here of what one looks like that has nothing planted in it. So very small area, and what I should have done was divide it because this grew so much. So although it looks healthy, it's just not flowering as much. What I'm going to do in November is I'm literally going to dig it up, divide it. I'll put half back in there, and then I'll plant the other half elsewhere. It's a wonderful plant, provides awesome color, and it, again, does well in summers in Texas. These back here are all mums. I cut them back a few months ago. And they are already setting a million buds for the fall. Can't wait until those bloom. The geraniums back there are absolutely gorgeous. I love them. I had a few there that grew so great last year, and I didn't think they were coming back. So I bought a few and plugged them in there, and they are growing wonderful. And then the other ones grew back. They did end up coming back just a little later than I would have anticipated. So this area, I'm loving it. Pretty, lots of color. Some more work to do for next year, without a doubt. Hibiscus, I think I'm going to look into some more hardy hibiscus options for this area because I do love those. Such tropical flowers. But it's not very happy this year. Back here is my Rose of Sharon, and my husband thought he was being so helpful by taking a chainsaw to the top of it on both sides. Kind of hurting. You can see there are a few flowers in here, but not many. But I do expect that to rebloom very quickly. These Rose of Sharons really do bounce back in my area. The rose bushes in front of them, I literally just deadheaded all of those. For the most part, they're pretty. Right now, they're a little sparse. There's only one little sad rose over here, but I have no doubt that will fill out soon. So that's this side of the walk. Over here, Pentas and an Ixora, which is actually setting new buds. I did prune that back, and it is. I honestly was wondering whether it was going to flower again, but it's definitely setting buds, so that's awesome. And the chocolate chip Ajuga in the front of it, which only blooms in the spring, but is gorgeous. And the rest of the year it's just beautiful ground cover. That dark black, almost purple leaves next to the dark green. I like it. Here, on either side of the front door, I planted birds of paradise and the New Guinea impatiens down here for a little bit of color. I was looking for some more height and, something that could tolerate the shade on this front porch with full, brutal sun for about 2.5 hours a day. And this combination seems to be working. And on the right side of the porch is more of the moss roses, and behind that I have a kalanchoe. So those are beautiful, and I'm sure the kalanchoe should be starting to put forward flowers here in the next month or so as we cool off just a little bit. Back when I started gardening, this entire area was nothing but grass to the fence all the way down, literally. And I'll try to find a picture of what it looked like just a few years ago. But I originally planted these Mexican petunias across here, and I called this my Mexican petunia fence, which I still call it that. But for the most part, I backed the Mexican petunias off. I'm going to post a photo of what these look like in the morning. This whole section is so gorgeous. Later in the afternoon, it gets tired. Mexican petunias bloom these gorgeous purple blooms every morning, and in the afternoon, they all fall to the ground, and then the next morning, they rebloom again. So I backed the Mexican petunias off, and I flanked them with cuttings from my Rose of Sharon plants from the front swoop. Um, on either side, and then on over here I've turned pretty much into 4 o'clocks and my dahlias. And then in the front I have the purslane, different color purslane, which is pretty. And I put a mum in here as well. This actually is quite a mix. I was going to say this is my dahlia section, but it's clearly a mix of a bunch of different things, which primarily is what I like. And again, folks, it is September, and in Texas, Central Texas, it's still pretty darn hot. These plants have survived an incredibly long summer, although we've had fewer triple digit temps during the day than we've had in several years. So, overall, it's been a much more pleasant summer. But the plants, you can see, they are absolutely ready for the cooler temps. Over here, I have this bicycle my sister gave me. And in the last video I posted, I started moss rose seeds, and I replaced the begonias, at least the one that was surviving, the one that was still alive, and put in these moss rose. So I'm hoping that they'll like this a little bit better. And threw in this very pretty little China aster. And again, in my last video, I explained I'm going to be planting a ton of those. Profusion zinnias in the front. This area, I'm really liking the way it is developing. I think it's pretty. There are a few changes I'm going to make. One, I'm going to turn those 4 o'clocks into more tree form next year. Two is the dahlias. These grow much taller now. I cut them back last month so that they'll regrow and start blooming again in the fall. But they definitely take over. They're way too tall, way too leggy. I'm not sure I like these. I'm probably going to dig them up and either move them back towards the fence, or I may move them to another part of the yard. So this area is kind of my question mark, and this falls into the it's all an experiment part of my videos. I'm more than open to moving things around and trying new ideas. But so far, and again, I'm going to post a picture of what this looks like all morning. This area is so gorgeous, looking a little tired and a little droopy right now, but folks, I love this area. And this is continuing to move farther down the fence. Again, this is the other Rose of Sharon from cuttings I did a year and a half ago, flanking the Mexican petunias. But as you can see, the Mexican petunias continued on down the fence. I don't mind them. They look very tropical, and frankly, they cover more of this fence, so I was happy. What did surprise me was how many of them actually started blooming. So I'm kind of pleased with how this entire area looks. Down here, these two terracotta pots, I put some purslane in here. Very underwhelming flowers, so I'm going to rethink what goes in here next year. The plants are healthy. It's just not blooming the way I wanted it to. Another 4 o'clock. This one I successfully did turn into a tree. And for the most part, it's very beautiful. They call these 4 o'clocks because the blooms open up in the later afternoon, but very pretty. And this one is one of the fuchsia colors. This is where the shade garden definitely is 99% shade during the day. My zebra plant seems to love it back here. I actually need to prune the flowers back. These blooms last for well over a month. They're absolutely gorgeous. Not sure how he's going to do through the winter. I actually pulled him in. He was in a pot on the front porch, pulled him in over the winter, planted him out in spring because from what I've read up, they should be able to handle our mild winters. Coleus around here, which frankly, again, underwhelming. I'm going to rethink the shade zone. I thought the coleus was going to fill in and be gorgeous and big and large. It just has not grown very much, and I'm not quite sure why. I'm looking for something more full, more tropical, and when you look on this back fence, just, makes you say, wow. From here to the back corner, I planted caladium, some hostas. The caladiums, they did well. I've been kind of pleased with these this year. I have them on the other side of the yard as well. Hostas on both sides, very underwhelming. Not happy plants back here. They were supposed to be the same height as the caladium, and with the two different textures and colors of the hostas, I sort of pictured something, I don't know, very full and beautiful and different textures and colors. Rethinking, but caladium for sure is on the list for next year. More coleus. These grew a little bit fuller over here, but really still kind of underwhelming. I do like the color variations of the coleus, so I think I definitely will stick with these types of plants. Just maybe some that do really well, I'll do more of, and some that don't do as well, I'll do less of. I'm not sure. But again, this entire zone next year, folks, I want this completely filled in and absolutely gorgeous. Azaleas, they bloom in the spring and they're absolutely stunning. And the rest of the year, they're just a pretty bush. I kind of like them. My sister's in Houston. She's getting blooms on hers right now. So I'm not sure what the difference is. Let me bring the camera over further. Back in this corner, I dug up a few of the clerodendron babies from the other side of the yard, and that'll be in part 2, and planted them back here. These grow huge and they grow gorgeous flowers. I may have moved them a little bit late this year, so I'm not sure about the flowers. This caladium, it's small. It's not even as developed as the one over there. Now, the caladiums on the other side of the house are huge, and I will show you what those look like. The hosta is still alive, one of them. The other one just completely disappeared. Begonia, definite. That was a fail. I will not plant begonias back in this garden again. Over here, you can see in the pots, they're polka dot plants. This one looks great. That one looks sad and awful. This one had holes in the bottom, so it was draining well. That one, no holes in the bottom. I don't know why I didn't check it when I put the polka dot plant over there. But my husband and I just drilled holes in there yesterday, trimmed it back. So I'm hoping that that one decides to come back. But I kind of like that polka dot plant, just the little additional color back here on both sides. And this is my poor September, incredibly underwhelming shade garden on the back fence. I will rethink everything next year. I do like these Persian shields. They grew gorgeous and thick. Honestly didn't think they'd come back, but they sure did. This love plant, I don't know what they're called, but I call them love plant because the purple leaves look like hearts. That one I like too. Again, some of the coleus are pretty, but incredibly underwhelming and a lot of negative space back here. So I'm definitely going to be rethinking this zone. And this is my food garden, as sad as it is. The basil, for sure, has been the big win this summer. I just come out here and I pick leaves. They smell so good for pizzas and spaghetti sauces and things along those lines. Some of it's getting eaten up at this point, but obviously very successful. The Verbena bonariensis, not a good place for it. Honestly, I was hoping for some color over here, but I just don't think it gets enough sun. We've had some few very underwhelming flowers. The marigolds in the front are supposed to just deter pests from coming into this area. And overall, I think it works. I like it. It seems to be working. And they're pretty. I like them. They're definitely pretty. This, believe it or not, is my onion. What are they called? Green onions. And they are just blooming like absolute crazy. This guy grew back. Every so often, I do like grabbing a handful of those and chopping them up for like salads and stuff. These tomato, well, one tomato, because the other one clearly is dead, were where we put in um, this storage unit where we keep all, the lawnmower and everything else. But my tomato plants were right where that is. I dug up the two that looked healthiest, that might survive the move and planted them down here. Folks, messages: do not move tomato plants once they are well established. Just start over again. Again, learn something new every day. And then in here, and I'll bring you in a little bit closer, this is a blueberry bush plant. God, it's my third one. I cannot get them to grow to save my life. This is a blackberry bush, which is growing, but not one blackberry. Second year, folks. Really don't know what I'm doing there. And over here is I planted some avocado seeds just for the heck of it to see what would happen. They're growing. See what happens. I have no idea. So clearly, food garden is an area I need to do a whole bunch more study on. And this is one of my favorite places in the garden. Just a moment to sit and look at everything and in the shade. Absolutely love it. This poor little guy, he was gorgeous and beautiful, and yet one more pot that I did not have holes drilled in the bottom. So it literally sat in water. I don't even know how long it sat, but folks, that was skanky smelling water. Cut it back, drilled the holes in the bottom, hoping that it refills back in because this was stunning. And this is peace lily, very pretty. I love it, and I love when those little flowers pop up. They're very nice. This area I'm kind of pleased with. The cushions, the squirrels love taking the stuffing out of whatever cushion I put back here and building nests up in this tree, specifically for the winter. But I'm not sure. I need cushions back here. But anyway, this I'm going to pretty up. But this is definitely one of my favorite spots. If you enjoyed my video, please hit subscribe, like, and share. It really helps me grow my channel. Have a wonderful day.